Continuing the theme of spooky movies, I've been interested in catching up with some recent movies that have caught my eye. And one in particular, yeah, it's not what I expected. Let's talk about The Black Phone. After being abducted by a child killer and locked in a soundproof basement, a 13-year-old boy starts receiving calls on a disconnected phone from the killer's previous victims. The movie stars Mason Thames, Madeleine McGraw, Ethan Hawke, and Jeremy Davies. Now, Scott Derrickson has been on my radar for a while now. Ever since I saw Doctor Strange, which was the first movie that I saw that he did, I really, really enjoyed that. It was everything I wanted from a Doctor Strange movie, not knowing much about Doctor Strange. But anyway, recently I did watch Sinister, and even though it wasn't my favorite, I could see some of the sort of things that Scott Derrickson brings to the table there, and I mean I enjoyed it, even though it wasn't my favorite. But then, he's gonna be working on a Labyrinth reboot or sequel. We're not really sure, but he's working on Labyrinth. That's why he's not doing Doctor Strange 2. That's interesting. Now, The Black Phone is based on a short story by Joe Hill, and Joe Hill just happens to be Stephen King's son. So what's interesting is just starting off the movie, I was sort of like, okay, this kind of has a almost Stephen King-ish kind of feel to it. It's got that interesting characters, a sort of a retro start. You know what I mean? This is promising. Now, it had been a while since I'd seen the trailer, so I couldn't remember, I didn't know what The Black Phone actually was. I just knew that it was, okay, it's Ethan Hawke, and he's got the mask, the devil mask, kind of, and he's creepy, and he kidnaps kids, I guess. That's all I knew. And I didn't know that it took place in the 70s. I didn't know that we were gonna stay there. See, for some reason, I had it in my head that it was gonna be one of those where, you see the past and then you see the future. I just didn't know, but that's not the way it is. It's set in 1978. So I was really, really kind of impressed, and then felt myself really digging in and was like, okay, this is kind of like a slightly more adult Stranger Things, and I am here for it. I think the thing that you're immediately impressed with, going into this movie is just how good the acting is. Like, all of these kids, they are amazing. They really are good. And Mason Thames as Finney, and that is that is how you say his name, Mason Thames. That's how he pronounces it. So just saying. But anyway, he's great, and it's. I had a little bit of almost like little flashbacks of when I was a kid and kind of being bullied and things like that. It was kind of interesting to feel that, but it was and almost therapeutic in a way. But anyway, he is as good as he is. He's slightly overshadowed by Madeleine McGraw, his sister, Gwen. She puts in a performance that just really surprised me. And I thought, wow, okay, just this idea surrounding her character, which I won't go into, just this thing, you could make a whole thing, you could make like a series about that, And that's one of the things that I really like about certain stories that come out where you go, okay, there's like 4 really good ideas in this movie, and you just you put it in there as almost like a character trait, and then you move on, and that is impressive stuff. Ethan Hawke is as creepy as he needs to be, and he's good. He's definitely creepy in this. I mean, like wow. But then Jeremy Davies, who I just, for whatever reason, I hadn't seen in a while. He just hasn't been in much stuff, at least that I've seen. Man, he puts in a performance he's everything that character needs to be. He's scary, as this alcoholic dad, but he's also got this sadness that really kind of makes you feel for him. And it's just, I think that's a really interesting performance, and sort of interesting in the scope of the whole movie. It's like, okay, there's more there. There's more there that you could go into, but they don't. That's not what the story's about. That's a richness of that character that I thought was really, really well done. This is hard to describe, but usually what happens for me is when I'm watching a movie where a lot of people might say, "Oh, that was really like super predictable." When I don't find it predictable, it's because the movie is doing such a good job of keeping me in the moment that I'm not looking forward. So there are things that are set up that just they continually set up, and then it kind of comes together in the end, and you're kind of like, okay, that was really cool. But I'm sure there's a lot of people that were like, yeah, I saw all of that coming. I didn't, because I was so into the moment. I was in the moment with the characters. I think that's really well done. Overall, I'm going to give this like a 3.25, 3.5 out of 4 stars, somewhere around there. Maybe a 3.33 repeating. Look, I really liked it. I really enjoyed this movie, and I highly recommend it. Even though it's not really a horror movie, it's more of a, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it's got some horror elements, but I think the story it's more of a like a slightly ghost story kind of thing. It's good. Hey, if you're interested in watching it, watch it. I think you'll like it. Now, before I go, I want to talk about a couple of little spoiler things that kind of irritated me and kind of took me out of things. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, you just go ahead and shut the video off now. In fact, most people probably have already. But anyway, that's fine. That's fine. But first, Finn gets away, right? At one point, he unlocks the thing and he's starting to run away. Why doesn't he just go to another house? Like, why did he just run directly down the sidewalk? But I don't get that. And then the van pulls in front of him and he runs into the van. I was just like, come on. What? Why? And then one more little thing that was just kind of like, okay, that's a little bit of suspension of disbelief that you got to do, is that why wouldn't the grabber see all the work that Finn's been doing? He's like, that grates off that window. There's that whatever carpet or whatever didn't used to be covering the hallway there. What's going on there? It's like all of these things. Like, I don't understand how he didn't notice that. I don't know. So, Black Phone, I'm kind of curious if you've seen it, what you think of it. I really enjoyed it, even though it's not really super spooky or scary. It's just a really well done story. I really liked it, but I'm curious what everybody else thinks. Let me know down below and we will talk about it. So thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.